You know, sometimes the most heartbreaking stories don't begin with thunder or lightning. Sometimes, they begin with the quiet sound of a child crying behind a closed door. It was raining that morning, soft, gray rain that smelled of mud and sadness. 9-year-old Lila sat on the cold kitchen floor, clutching her right leg. It was wrapped in an old piece of cloth, stained with blood that had long dried into a rusty brown. Every move sent a wave of pain up her tiny frame. But what hurt more than the wound was the growl she heard, not from her stomach, but from her little brother, Tommy, who was sitting in the corner, pale, shaking, and clutching his own belly. They hadn't eaten in 2 days. Their stepmother, Martha, had locked the fridge again, said the kids were lazy mouths, good for nothing but trouble. Their father had been gone for weeks, working at a factory in another town. He didn't know what was happening at home. Martha had convinced him the kids were fine, but the truth was far from it. That morning, Lila whispered to Tommy, "Don't cry, okay? I'll find you something, I promise." But she could barely stand. Her leg had been broken 3 weeks earlier when Martha shoved her down the stairs, all because she dropped a glass plate. No doctor, no medicine, just cold looks and cruel words. Still, Lila refused to stop being a big sister. When Martha left that day to visit a friend, Lila saw her chance. The rain had slowed. She wrapped Tommy in her old blanket and said, "Come on, Tommy, we're leaving." "Where?" he asked, his voice trembling. "To find Dad." It was miles away, she didn't even know which road to take, but she had hope. And for children, sometimes hope is stronger than pain. She dragged her little brother out the back door, her injured legs scraping against the gravel. Every few steps, she had to stop and bite her lip so she wouldn't scream. The world blurred through her tears, but she didn't care. She had to get Tommy somewhere safe. They walked, or rather, crawled and stumbled, for almost 2 hours. They reached the edge of town, near the market square. People stared but didn't stop. Some even turned away, as if the sight of 2 dirty children was too much to bear. That's the thing about life, sometimes, people are too busy to see pain right in front of them. By the time they reached the bench outside a small bakery, Lila could barely move. The smell of bread made Tommy cry softly. "I'm so hungry, Lila." "I know," she whispered. Just wait here, okay?" She limped inside the bakery, dragging her bad leg, and went up to the counter. The woman behind it, an older lady with sharp eyes, looked down at her and frowned. "No begging here. Get out." Lila tried to speak. "Please, my brother, he hasn't eaten." "I said out," the woman shouted, waving her hand. Lila froze. Her stomach twisted, but before she could say anything, a man's voice spoke from behind her. "Hey, give her something." It was a tall man in a long gray coat, maybe in his 50s, with kind but tired eyes. He handed a few bills to the baker. "2 rolls and some milk," he said softly. The baker hesitated, but money spoke louder than kindness sometimes. She handed over the food, and Lila took it with trembling hands. When she turned around to thank the man, he was already walking away into the rain. Outside, Lila broke the bread into small pieces, feeding her brother first. She didn't eat a bite. Just watching Tommy chew made her smile weakly. "Isn't it good?" she asked. Tommy nodded, tears of relief running down his cheeks. "Yeah, thank you, Lila." Her body shivered. Her leg was swelling, her skin pale and clammy. But she didn't care. She had kept her promise. That night, they slept on that same bench under the streetlight. The city grew quiet, and the rain began again. That's when a car, sleek and black, stopped at the curb. The door opened, and a man stepped out. It was Mr. Reynolds, the owner of one of the largest construction companies in town, a self-made millionaire. But that night, he wasn't a businessman. He was just a man who couldn't ignore what he saw. A little girl curled up, her broken leg twisted at an odd angle, holding her younger brother close to keep him warm. He approached slowly. "Hey there, kids," he said gently. "What are you doing out here?" Lila stirred, eyes fluttering open. "We're waiting for our dad." "Where's your dad now?" She hesitated. He works far away. But he'll come back. He always does." Mr. Reynolds knelt beside her. He could see she was running a fever. The boy was half asleep, his face smudged with dirt. Something inside him broke. He couldn't just walk away. He took off his coat and wrapped it around both of them. Come on, he said softly. Let's get you warm. He brought them to the hospital that night. When the doctor saw Lila's leg, he frowned deeply. This injury's old. It's badly infected. She's lucky she's still walking. Lila clutched Tommy's hand as they treated her. She kept whispering, "Don't be scared, okay? I'm right here, Mr." Reynolds watched silently, his heart heavy. He'd lost his own daughter years ago in a car accident. She'd been around Lila's age. Maybe that's why this scene hit him so hard. It was like fate had given him a second chance to do right by another child. Over the next few days, he visited them every morning. He brought toys for Tommy, books for Lila, and warm meals they hadn't tasted in months. Slowly, their eyes began to light up again. When the police came to ask about their family, everything came out: the abuse, the neglect, the lies Martha had told their father. It shattered him when he finally arrived at the hospital. He broke down beside his daughter's bed, sobbing. "I'm so sorry, Lila, I didn't know. I didn't see." She smiled weakly and said the most innocent thing. "It's okay, Daddy. You see now." Martha was arrested for child neglect and assault. But Lila didn't hate her. When someone asked if she wanted to say anything to her stepmother, she said, "I just hope she learns to be kind, because it hurts when people aren't." Even the officers went silent at that. Once Lila recovered, Mr. Reynolds invited the family to stay with him for a while, just until they got back on their feet. His mansion, once quiet and cold, filled again with laughter. Tommy would run through the halls chasing the housekeeper's cat, and Lila would sit by the piano, trying to teach herself songs from memory. One afternoon, Mr. Reynolds found her sitting by the window, sketching something in a notebook. "What are you drawing?" he asked. It's our new house," she said shyly. "Daddy said we'll have one someday. Not too big, just warm." Mr. Reynolds smiled. "I think that's a wonderful dream." But that night, as he thought about it, he decided, maybe he could make that dream come true. 2 months later, when Lila's cast was finally removed, Mr. Reynolds took them on a drive. They stopped in front of a small, cozy house on a quiet street, painted pale yellow, with flowers by the porch. "Whose house is that?" Lila asked. He smiled. "Yours, if you want it." Her father stared in disbelief. "Sir, I can't accept." But Mr. Reynolds interrupted. "Don't thank me. Thank your daughter. Her courage reminded me what life is really about." Tears welled up in Lila's father's eyes. He hugged his children tightly. "We'll never forget this. Ever." Time passed. Lila's leg healed. She started school again, and Mr. Reynolds remained a part of their lives, like the grandfather they never had. Every weekend, he'd visit, bringing chocolate for Tommy and a new sketchbook for Lila. One day, she gave him a drawing, a picture of 2 kids sitting under a tree, with a man handing them bread. Underneath, she'd written, "The day you saw us." He framed it and kept it in his office, right beside his late daughter's photo. Years later, when Lila grew up, she became a nurse, inspired by the kindness she'd once received in that hospital. She dedicated her life to helping children who couldn't help themselves. At her graduation ceremony, sitting proudly in the front row, was Mr. Reynolds. His hair was grayer now, his steps slower, but his smile was the same. When they handed her the diploma, she looked at him and whispered through tears, "You saved me." He shook his head gently. "No, Lila, you saved yourself. I just saw you when no one else did." That night, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Lila stood outside with her brother. Tommy was taller now, working as a carpenter like their dad once dreamed of. They looked at the sky, the same gray that had once hung over their pain. But now, it felt different. Now, it felt like peace. Moral: even the smallest act of kindness can change a life forever, because sometimes, seeing someone's pain is the first step to healing their world.